Good evening and welcome to the November 15th council meeting. If you'd please stand. Councilman Pocock is going to lead us in the flag salute this evening. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Our first proclamation this evening is the American Cancer Society's Great American Smokeout Day, November 17th. I'd like to call up Jessica Singletary from the Community Services. She's a coordinator with the City of Chino, and Jenny Mott, nurse and tobacco use prevention education grant coordinator with the Chino Valley Unified School District, and Hector Hernandez, Chino Police Department crime prevention and community outreach specialist with the City of Chino. You people and your long titles. And it reads, whereas November 17th, 2022 marks the 46th anniversary of the American Cancer Society's Great American Smokeout, a campaign designed to encourage tobacco users to quit on or before that day. And whereas the City of Chino's Community Services Department, Police Department, and Teen Center partners with the Chino Valley Unified School District to provide programs that encourage young people to quit smoking or not start at all by promoting a healthy lifestyle and educating youth on the effects of smoking. Tobacco use is responsible for nearly 1 in 5 early deaths in the United States, which remains the single largest preventable cause of disease and premature death in the United States, accounting for over 480,000 deaths per year. Yet an estimated 30.8 million adults and 4.47 million middle and high school students continue to smoke cigarettes. Whereas each day, nearly 2,000 young people under the age of 18 try their first cigarette, and over 300 become regular daily smokers. While tobacco product use among U.S. youth declined, continued efforts are needed to sustain this progress and to prevent and reduce all forms of tobacco use. The City of Chino urges all tobacco users to demonstrate to themselves and their loved ones that they can quit on or before the Great American Smokeout. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emilio, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim Thursday, November 17th as the Great American Smokeout Day in the City of Chino, and in doing so, support the American Cancer Society's mission to help create a world with less cancer and more birthdays due to less people smoking.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. We're very excited to continue to host our annual Great American Smokeout event. It's going to take place this Thursday at the Chino Teen Center located at Monte Vista Park from 4 to 6 p.m. We have some great booths that are going to be there to provide information to the teens, as well as an investigator from Chino PD will be coming out and actually speaking to the teens on the rising fentanyl use within communities. So hopefully giving them the education and the tools they need to stay away from that and stay safe out there. We're also to ensure that the teens are engaged, providing them with food and snacks. So our Lions Club of Chino will be coming and providing free ice cream to the teens. And throughout the event, we'll be providing raffle prizes to all the teens in attendance. So we're very excited.
In 1981, an executive from Philip Morris Tobacco said, "We do realize that today's teenager is tomorrow's potential regular customer. As smoking rates decrease due to education and governmental regulations, these companies needed to find a replacement for cigarettes. E-cigarettes became the new product to hook or addict customers. The tobacco companies intentionally market e-cigarettes to youth with fun flavors, packaging looking just like candy. They put product placement and ads for use. They use color combinations, geometric shapes, and even emotional connections. And they use social media influencers to advertise and to appeal to our youth. Well, last Tuesday, 63% of Californians voted to ban most flavored tobacco products in our state. This is a big win for our students who will no longer meet a barrage of images and products pushing these products. Our job as educators will be made easier with state laws supporting our endeavors."
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. We look forward to continuing our partnership with the city, with the district, and the American Cancer Society. just to keep educating our youth and keep providing them this program and these resources in order to bring those numbers down.
Thank you, all three of you, for being here this evening. This is so important, and thank goodness the voters turned out and turned down the flavored tobacco. So that was a good move. Great. Now you have to get a picture. Okay, we're going to have a presentation now on the Asian Citrus Salad, or ACP, and Huang Long Bing, HLB, presentation. Remotely, we're going to have the presentation by the California Department of Food and Agriculture on the presence of ACP and HLB in Chino.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Okay, okay. Me?
You may begin.
Okay, thank you so much. Hearing feedback, give me 1 second. Okay. So thank you all for having us here tonight. This is Victoria Hornbaker. I'm the director for the Citrus Pest and Disease Prevention Division at the California Department of Food and Agriculture. And as the name implies, we deal with invasive insects and pests that can impact California citrus, which, you know, of course, we all love and value. Okay, audio is good. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, thanks. It looks like there's a bit of a delay on my end. So what's the issue? You know, as you heard, we're here to talk about the Asian citrus psyllid. It's a mouthful. That's why we do refer to it as ACP. ACP has been found throughout California. Southern California is considered generally infested. So we've had ACP in San Bernardino since 2012. It originally came into California in 2008. The first detections were along the U.S.-Mexico border in Imperial and San Diego counties. If it weren't for the disease that this tiny insect can carry, it wouldn't be much of an issue. But because this insect does carry and transmit a bacterial disease called Huang Long Bing, it is very important. Huang Long Bing, or HLB, is a citrus killer. There's no cure, there's no therapies. Once a tree is infected, it will slowly decline and die. We care about this, you know, because we do have a very vibrant citrus industry in California. As you can see down at the bottom of the slide, over 3.4 billion in sales, another 7 billion in economic revenue, over 22,000 jobs directly employed by the citrus industry, close to 4,000 farmers of various sizes. We have very small farmers with a couple of acres to very large farmers with thousands and thousands of acres. Right now, we have about 292,000 acres of citrus in production, which is quite large statewide. But it's not just the industry that we're worried about. It's also those local citrus trees, the trees in your backyards, your front yards, your community gardens. They're at risk as well. And we estimate that about 60% of California residences have at least one citrus tree on their property. You know, from someone who grew up in Orange County in Southern California, you couldn't, you know, turn around. Every neighbor had a lemon or an orange or some kind of citrus tree. And I thought, oh, when I moved to Northern California, that's going to be different. It really isn't. We love our citrus trees in NorCal, just like y'all do in Southern California. Let's see, let's go to the next slide. So the pest, as I said, ACP is a tiny insect. It's about the size of a grain of rice. You can see on the photo down there in the lower right-hand corner where you can see somebody's thumb, and in perspective, you can see the size of the adult psyllid. It's very, very small. Again, they spread the deadly plant disease, HLB. The best way to prevent the spreading of that disease is to keep the ACP populations at bay. So we want people to Be looking for the signs of ACP, working with their local home garden center and treating for the psyllid. So the top picture on the right, you see that waxy substance, the white waxy substance. Those are called waxy tubules, and they're like a honeydew that you would see from an aphid, only drier and waxier. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. The disease, like I said, it's a bacterial disease and it is deadly for citrus trees. There is no cure, no therapies. It's not harmful to humans or animals. I can tell you I have tasted HLB infected fruit when I was in Florida. It is horrible. I would not recommend eating it. That's why we're seeing in the marketplace all these really wonderful mixes of orange juices. It's to mask that funky taste of the HLB infected fruit in Florida. The disease can take multiple years. There's a latency period, but it can take multiple years to actually show up. So it's important for us to keep those psyllid populations knocked down so they're not spreading the disease before we actually see symptoms. If you are looking at your citrus trees, what we want you to look for is asymmetrical yellow mottling. So in the picture you can see at the bottom here, you can see that there's some yellowing, but it's not mirrored on both sides of the leaf. That asymmetrical mottling or yellowing of the leaf can be an indication of HLB. Also, the veins on the leaves that you can see here, they dry out and they get what we call corky, woody looking. Again, another sign of HLB. The fruit can be small. It tastes rancid. You can see in the picture of the fruit how the midrib or the middle of the fruit is kind of bent. Again, it's another indication that your tree's got HLB. Also, HLB can cause premature and excessive fruit drop. You see a bunch of fruit set on your tree, it's looking lovely, and then all of the fruit drops off. If any of you or folks reach out and you're seeing any of these symptoms, please reach out to us. We've got staff in the area that can come out and take samples of the tree. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So right now we have established an HLB quarantine. So it's in LA, Orange, San Bernardino, Riverside, and then you'll see a small area down in Oceanside. To date, we've detected and removed close to 4,000 HLB positive trees. As of the 11th, it was 3,952. But we've had some additional detections today. We're up to 3,980 as of today. In Chino specifically, we've found one positive tree and one psyllid carrying the bacteria. So that's very concerning. Again, we want folks to be looking for the psyllids, using whatever they're comfortable with to knock those psyllid populations down, and also calling our 1-800, it's 1-800-491-1899, our exotic pest hotline, and we can get folks out to look at their trees and sample their trees. Go on to the next slide. So this is blown up again, showing shows a better area, more blown up area for the quarantine. Again, one HLB positive tree, one Asian citrus cell that was carrying the bacteria has also been detected in Chino. Next slide. So what do we do? What does CDFA do? We're out looking for the symptoms of the disease. We're out collecting psyllids. We send them all to our Plant Pest Diagnostic Center in Sacramento. If we do get a positive, we're going to reach out to the homeowner. We're going to do a delimitation survey, a very intensive survey, and we're going to conduct treatments to knock down that ACP population. We've been very successful in California to date. I know when you hear close to 4,000 trees, compared to Florida, Texas, and other parts of the world, we are doing a tremendous job slowing the spread of this insect and disease. If we are going to do a treatment in the area, residents in the treatment area will be invited to a virtual public meeting where we'll present information about what we're doing and why we're doing it. We'll invite folks to ask questions. We'll have experts on the line. 48 hours, at least 48 hours before an actual treatment, We will post a notice on the front doors of the folks that are going to be treated, and letting them know, hey, we're coming on, Tuesday, or hey, we're coming on Thursday. There's the 1-800 number, 1-800-491-1899. If the folks say, oh, Saturday doesn't work for me or Friday doesn't work for me, can you guys come Thursday? We'll definitely try to accommodate. Only treat the trees. We don't treat other plants or grass or anything like that. And the products that we use are registered for use on home properties. They're not agricultural products. Next slide. We also use biological control. This is super exciting. So we use a tiny stingless wasp called Tamrixia radiata. They are predators and they eat and they parasitize the Asian citrus psyllid. So we release those all over California to keep the population of psyllids low. It's a cooperative effort that's conducted by UC Riverside, USDA, CDFA, and the California Citrus Research Board. It can help lower ACP populations, but it's not a standalone, it's not the silver bullet. It's not a standalone treatment for Asian citrus psyllid, but it does help. And they're super tiny. That picture you see there, I mean, they're like smaller than the head of a pencil. They're very tiny. Next slide. So again, this is a very cooperative effort. We work with USDA. We work with Department of Pesticide Regulation, the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, work very closely with your local county ag commissioner's office. Definitely our partners, and boots on the ground in Chino. We work with the Citrus Research Board, our California citrus growers, and I can't say this enough. We really rely heavily on the residents of California. We're knocking on people's doors. We're hanging traps. We're cutting, leaves off their tree. We're collecting bugs off their tree. We're treating their trees. And in the instance, if a tree comes back positive, we do remove the trees. That's the only way to get rid of the disease, is to remove the inoculum, take the tree out and destroy it. So in the 14 years that we've been working on this pest and disease in California, had tremendous cooperation from the residents. They're definitely our key partners in this, and really can be pointed to why we've been so successful. Next slide. Kirsten, did you want me to go on with this, or did you want to jump in?
I can take it from here, Victoria. Thank you so much. So what you all can do here is, starting by listening to this presentation, but being an informed constituent or resident. Part of that is not moving your citrus plants, that includes the leaves or foliage, in or out of the quarantine area across the state or international borders. If your tree is on your home territory, then please wash it before either gifting it to someone else, and to do trim and prune it as well. Inspect your trees monthly. Look for the Asian citrus psyllid and all the signs that Victoria mentioned. Please cooperate with agriculture officials when they put notices on your door, and are informing you about treatment in the area. And only purchase your plants from reputable, licensed, and local nurseries. I know it's more common these days. You can order plants online and whatnot, but be really mindful of the source and where they're coming from. Next slide, please. Here's all the resources of which you can report if you think you see a sign of ACP or HLB on your citrus tree. You have many resources: CDFA, your San Bernardino Agricultural Commissioner. We have websites, californiacitrusthreat.org, or CDFA's website. Next slide, please. We also offer plenty of educational resources For residents of Chino, we have brochures, one-pagers, we have multiple languages, video, and we're happy to provide these following this presentation that everyone can have access to. Next slide, please. Again, we need your help. As Victoria said, we really depend on residents. So please also share the word. We are active on social media at Citrus Threat. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And we appreciate the city giving us this opportunity to speak today. If you have any additional questions, please guide them to CDFA at 1-800-491-1899. Thank you. Next slide, please. That concludes our presentation. So if you have any questions, please just reach out to us. I'm sure we can provide our contact information following this.
Well, thank you very much for the information. I don't think there's anybody here that hasn't enjoyed a homegrown orange or lemon. And so we want to protect those trees. I can't imagine losing them all. So thank you for the information. And I think we'll all be very diligent in checking our citrus trees. Okay, next, we do have a presentation from the San Bernardino Council of Governments Housing Trust presentation. Elizabeth Dixon, Josh Lee, and Monique Risa Ariano.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for allowing us to inform on this project that we're working on. I am Monique Ariano. I'm down 2 guys due to illness, so hopefully this will be a quick presentation. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to give some background and context before I get started. We have been working about a year now through our city manager's TAC, and we actually got the green light from the board probably in February to really kind of look into whether it's feasible to create a regional housing trust that would encompass the entirety of the county. I will go into what a housing trust is and what the benefits are in the presentation, but I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of background on how we got started. We started working with a subcommittee of our city managers, and they really have given us a really excellent collaboration to provide the recommendations that we're going to be taking to our committees next month and to the board in January. And at this point, we're really kind of looking for interest from cities that would want to participate in the trust. So this is really just informative. If you have questions, we can always follow up. We're looking to have letters of interest from the cities by January, probably mid-January. So I'm hoping that we can answer any questions between now and then. So with that, I'll get started. So what is a housing trust? It really is a tool that we would create together collaboratively through the SBCOG to bring funds for housing to this region. They would be supplemental and really kind of leveraging what is already existing or comes to this region, either through the County Housing Authority or any other types of fund sources that cities have access to. We would be able to leverage those and bring in other fund sources through the trust. So that's really the goal. The benefits are that we would be able to provide a flexible source of gap financing for affordable housing developments throughout the region. We would have the ability to compete for state funds that are only given to housing trusts. Specifically, we're looking at the State Local Housing Trust Program. They match 1-to-1 up to $5 million on an annual basis, and it's just money that's sitting there. We haven't been able to access it because no trust exists in this area yet. It really is a targeted solution for regional issues. In working with our city managers, we were able to identify priority programs and projects that we would be able to fund through this trust. And it is an ability to pull resources. We would be able to work together and find other ways to bring in other fund sources that don't necessarily originate here. We identified what the vision and the goals are going to be, and ultimately the bottom line is that we're looking to bring in more housing to this area. And I'll go over the need and why that's crucial, but essentially we're attracting affordable housing developers. We're increasing and preserving the affordable housing supply. We want to increase equitable access to the community resources and really protect against displacement and poor housing conditions. So why do we need a trust? Just some data points. There's and this is on a regional level, this is not specific to Chino. So the region has census tracts with concentrations of more than 20% of households that experience overcrowding. Household overpayment is very high in certain parts of the region. 80% of renters are burdened by the cost of housing. High levels of poverty in some of the census tracts across the county. The cost of transportation combined with the cost of housing averages about 59% in this region. And then in order for the attraction of those affordable housing developers, the tax credit program that they're able to access through the state really is favorable towards high resource areas, and Housing Trust would put us at a better level to attract those types of developers as well. So I'm sure you're all familiar with RENA. The fifth cycle was the previous cycle, and we, as a region, again, this is regional, did not reach our numbers, and now the numbers have increased for the sixth cycle, and we really need to increase our production on a regional level in order to meet the requirements of the state. So what have we done to date? We created a strategic plan which includes a lot of analysis and research that we've done through our consulting firm, and we've also done quite a bit of outreach to existing trusts as well as to our local agencies to kind of identify, one, what the needs are, identify best practices, lessons learned, so that we can have a good model for how we would implement something like this. I'll go through this really quickly. The outreach summary, so we reached out to all of our SBCOG member jurisdictions. Like I said, we started back probably about January, February, reaching out to all of them. We've met with 15 member jurisdictions specifically. We met with their board member, which is either their mayor or a city council member, and their city manager. 16 of the 25 member jurisdictions we know are interested in participating. What that looks like yet, obviously the JPA would form the structure of the Housing Trust itself once we establish that, but at least we know they're kind of interested in how this is going to work out. We've also done interviews with outside organizations. Like I said, we talked to Orange County Finance Trust. The County of Orange has its own trust as well. We talked to San Gabriel Valley Regional Housing Trust and a few other collectives. And we've done some group presentations for the board, our city and county managers, and our planning directors. So we've completed a funding opportunity analysis where we've identified different fund sources that we would be able to access through the trust. One of them is grant funding. Obviously, that's going to be a huge portion of what the trust is going to be pursuing. We are looking at implementing a member agency revolving loan fund, which would be accessible to the member agencies of the new JPA. We're also looking at contracting with a nonprofit that would be able to take in private donations on behalf of the trust. We are, as an agency, SBCTA, looking at creating and implementing a VMT mitigation bank, and the Housing Trust would be an eligible recipient of the funds that we would be gaining from that. And then heavily going after earmark funds. The Housing Trusts that currently exist have all been awarded in the tens of millions, so we're really hoping to get some of that funding as well. We did a housing inventory, an affordable housing inventory. So the blue dots are existing affordable housing that we identified throughout the region, and then the orange are the pipeline projects. And these are the projects that we have analyzed that are in our strategic plan. We completed a local funding gap analysis based on those projects where we've essentially identified it's about $162,000 per unit that the gap would be for financing affordable housing development. And there's a lot there. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I'm just going to move on from there. So the Housing Trust structure, we are currently in the process of setting up. We are working on an administrative plan that ultimately the new JPA would approve. We would identify, again, the vision and goals within that administrative plan. These are the same as the ones that were on the first slide. And then the programming priorities that we have identified, this is through the collaborations with the city manager, TAC. They've identified new construction for affordable housing really being the main priority, and then looking at housing preservation, rehabilitation, community land trusts, workforce housing, down payment assistance, and financing for the purchasing of land. To administer the trust, we would be creating a board of directors. It would be one board member per jurisdiction that would be participating. The members would be incentivized to be founding members of our JPA. It's a lot of work to get this off the ground, and the initiating city managers are very interested in incentivizing those that start out with the group in the beginning. So there would be a 2-year term limit to the board members, but no limit to the number of terms. And the administration of the actual trust itself would be done by SBCOG. So essentially, the Housing Trust would contract with us to staff it, to work on all of the background items, such as, you know, paying the bills, having legal reviews, that kind of thing. That would all be done through SBCOG. So in administering the trust, we've identified an annual operating budget of $315,000, and that would be allocated across the county for the member jurisdictions based on their population. So we have a floor of $10,000 for the smaller jurisdictions, up to $30,000 for the larger ones. So in visualizing how it works, right now we're in the process of building the trust, really kind of identifying who is going to be a part of this endeavor. And then once we actually establish that JPA with those interested parties, we would fund the trust by going after the state grants, the federal grants, donations, and any other funding sources that we can identify and bring in. And then after that, we'd spread the wealth through all the participating jurisdictions or projects, and they would be prioritized based on what the new JPA would identify. So the next steps, we are in the process currently of identifying the participating jurisdictions. We're working on the draft administrative plan, and then we are currently also working on the REAP 2.0 funding application. This is going to be the main fund source to get this off the ground. We're looking at about $14 million for an initial pot that we would be able to utilize. And then once we get funding for that, we can establish the JPA and then adopt the administrative plan and then really kind of get going. So the schedule right now, November, we actually are going to not be presenting to our committees this month. We're doing it next month. And then the board in January. And then we would ultimately submit the application for the funding in January at the end of the month. And then hopefully by April, May, we'd be able to get that funding and start creating that new JPA. So that's all I have. I know that was a lot of information. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions this evening so far? Well, thank you for the presentation, and you'll have information on your website.
We do have information on the website, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have a very special presentation, and I would like to call my colleague, Council Member Pocock, down here with me. And I'd like, no, come on, you have to come down. I'd also like to call up the members of his family. Come on. Now, as most of you know, Walt has served on the council for 2 years after accepting to fill the seat vacated by the death of Mr. Mark Hargrove. During this time, he has served the city well, armed with experience, compassion, intellect, and a love for this community. Today, we're celebrating Walt in 2 ways. We're thanking him for his service on the City Council and congratulating for reaching the milestone of being a public servant for over 20 years, beginning with his appointment to the Community Services Commission in 1994. Walt has amassed many accolades over the years, including receiving the Spirit of Achievement Award with his wife, Dee, and the Chino Champions Outstanding Citizen of the Year. First, I would like to present Mr. Pocock with a proclamation on behalf of the City Council. I'd like to ask the council to come down and join me for this presentation. So if you'd come down, please. And it reads, whereas grace, dedication, humility, and discernment collectively comprise the cornerstone to community leadership. And whereas after the tragic passing of former Council Member Mark Hargrove, it was imperative that our community find an individual that embodied these attributes and demonstrated an undeniable commitment to the City of Chino. And whereas in considering these necessary characteristics, it was overwhelmingly evident that Walt Pocock was best suited to serve as an appointed City Council member. And whereas over 2 decades of public service, Walt Pocock brought to our City Council and community knowledge that included his appointment to the Chino Community Services Commission in 1994 and the Chino Planning Commission in 2000. And whereas Walt Pocock has continued to earnestly serve as a Chino Kiwanis Club member, where he famously started the phenomenal annual Corn Feed Car Run Show and Cruise, which has continued to grow year after year, helping fund community events and further spotlighting the City of Chino. And whereas in his time on the City Council, Walt Pocock always represented our community incredibly well at regional events, while also drawing on his extensive past and knowledge to bring forth a unique perspective when difficult decisions were before the City Council. And whereas beyond the years Walt Pocock has already given to the City of Chino, his willingness to take the time to serve the Chino community as a council member for the past year and a half underscores what our community already recognizes and admires about Walt Pocock, that he is selfless, caring, and gracious leader that helped bring warmth, strength, and a steadying presence to our community in the aftermath of a tragic loss. And whereas the entire Chino community is in debt to his decades of incredible and compassionate services that all culminated in his time serving Chino as a City Council member. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emiloa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do here proclaim the City of Chino's utmost gratitude for the decades of service, grace, and leadership provided by Walt Pocock, and affirm that Walt Pocock exemplifies what it means to be a leader, and his character reflects what makes the City of Chino such an outstanding and a unique community. Walt, this proclamation is presented to you.
Thank you.
Council members, would you like to say a few words to Walt?
Walt, it has been a pleasure to have you on the council for the last 2 years. You were a breath of fresh air in a time that we really needed some stability, so we appreciate when you came in. You brought that stability to us, especially in a difficult time for the council. So I appreciate everything you've done. I appreciate the corn feed runs that you run. It's definitely a good time. My kids enjoy it quite a bit. The whole family enjoys it. So thank you for your selfless amount of hours that you give us. And I hope you continue in your quest to keep going with the corn feed run and everything else that you do.
Well, I was going to thank you at the end of my comments, but this is even better. I just also would like to thank you for your selfless service to our community for so long. I've known you since I first began at the police department. I remember we've talked about this before when you decided to start the first corn feed run. And I remember us talking and me actually saying it's going to be a huge success, and it's still here today. You have amassed so many community awards and compliments. Thank you for your service to Chino Kiwanis. Thank you to your family for supporting you in this endeavor. You need the support of your family members and loved ones. And thank you for just bringing the voice of reason and pragmatic common sense to the council when we needed it. And we're going to miss you. Job well done, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, hey, Walt, just first want to say I love you. You're amazing, and I got to say, just looking at the smiles of your entire family just kind of really sets the bar for what kind of man you are. So thank you again, and it was a pleasure working with you the last couple of years.
Okay, and next, thank you, council members. Oh, wait, we have to get a photo first. After this.
You got away.
I know. And now, For his many years of service to Chino as a community services commissioner, a planning commissioner for 20 years, and 2 years as a council member, I would like to present Walt with the highly deserved and equally coveted City of Chino tile. And it reads, Council Member Walt Pocock, the City of Chino, the Chino City Council, on behalf of the Chino community, express their appreciation for your many years of dedicated service to the City of Chino and its residents. Now we're going to get one picture with all the council and your family. Don't leave, you guys. Now, won't you stay here, family, stay. Okay, now, Walt, this is the latest, but I am sure not the last contribution you've made to Chino. We're joined by distinguished representatives of our community that also wish to celebrate Walt this evening. I'd like you to please come up and stay standing to the side as you are introduced, and we'll take a photo of Walt with each of you and then a group photo. First, I'd like to call up Representative Melissa Campani from the Office of San Bernardino County Supervisor Kurt Hagman. Melissa?
Well, good evening, everyone. And Mr. Pocock, this is really an honor to be here tonight. You know, when the supervisor can't make it, he sends me in, and boy, do I get some good ones. This is a good assignment. I would like to read to you the certificate of recognition that he wrote for you. It's awarded to Walt Pocock, City of Chino Council member. It is truly an honor to send you my congratulations on this momentous occasion of your retirement from the City of Chino Council. I commend and thank you for stepping in and filling the vacancy to the Chino City Council in 2021. Your dedication to the residents of Chino began in 1994 with your appointment to the city's Community Services Commission. In 2000, you were appointed to the Chino Planning Commission, and during those 21 years, you were instrumental in helping develop recommendations to the City Council regarding planning issues and zoning developments. The countless hours you have volunteered to the community have helped to make Chino a great place to live and visit. As a 32-year member of the Kiwanis Club of Chino, you founded and organized the Kiwanis Corn Feed Car Show, which just celebrated its 20th year and has become a very popular and well-attended event. You have also served on the Senior Citizens Committee, the Chino Valley Fire Foundation, the YMCA Board, and was a founding member of Chino's Focus on Youth Committee. The numerous awards you have received, such as the Spirit of Achievement Award, the Edwin Rhodes Community Services Award, and the Chino Valley Champion Newspaper's Outstanding Citizen Award, are a testament to the years of service and dedication to the City of Chino and all of its residents. May all of your years ahead bring you great joy and relaxation. Happy retirement. Signed, Kurt Hagman, San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors. That's a mouthful.
Okay, now Melissa, you come over here. Next, we have Chino Valley Fire Board member Harvey Luth and Chief Dave Williams. And I'm going to move this down. I want you all to move this way so you're in the camera. So come down this way. Okay, that's better. Okay.
Oh, well, I wasn't planning on this. I'm going to keep mine very brief. Walt, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for your service to our community. And thank you for showing us much younger men how to represent ourselves. You've been a true gentleman, and I've always watched you, and I appreciate everything that you've done, and from a distance how you've mentored the rest of us. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You know, I first met Walt when I joined Kiwanis And I quickly realized this is a person of action. He led, he got things done, and if he wanted your help or he wanted you to head up a committee, there was no saying no, you were going to do it. He was a good salesperson. He definitely got people involved and got us engaged. He was a tremendous asset to the Kiwanis Club. He's been tremendous asset to the city as part of the community services, planning commission, and now as a city council person. And Walt, I just thank you for the friendship. Thank you for everything you've done for our community. Your efforts have definitely blessed and have made a positive impact on our city. So thank you. We look forward to your continued efforts that will continue to enrich our community. So thank you.
Okay, you gentlemen step over here. Next, I'd like to call up Chino Police Sergeant Ted Olden and Corporal Justin Bunch. They're representing the Chino Police Officers Association and the Chino Police Management Association.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for having us. Thank you for giving us this moment to recognize Walt. I think everybody pretty much covered everything about Walt, but I'll say this. Walt's a class act. He's an example of what a good community can be when you have great community folks like him in it. So Walt, we thank you for your, I'll read this here. It says, on behalf of the men and women of the Chino Police Department, we want to thank you for your service on the council and your tireless commitment to our community. We could have put a lot more on there, Walt, but we figured this would be enough because everybody knows who you are and what you stand for. So thank you. We always say best in years to come, but we also want you to become our friend, and we're always here for you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'll stay up here. Next, I'd like to call up Director Julia Cabrera from the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. She's the community engagement gal.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, Walt. I'm here to present you with a certificate of recognition from the Chamber of Commerce. I'm very sensitive. I'm trying not to get choked up. But Walt, you have been instrumental in helping the Chamber maintain its vision and culture for improving the business community in Chino. Your contributions to the Chamber will continue in our programming, initiatives, and plans for innovation. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, the Ambassador team, and our staff, thank you. And I personally want to say that although I haven't known you long, every time I've chatted with you, you've always been so kind to me and always given me words of encouragement as a young professional. So thank you.
Okay, next we have Public Sector Manager Glenda Chavez from Waste Management. Oh, the coveted truck.
Well, I'm so honored to be here tonight and be hearing everyone recognize everything you've done for our community. I could, like everyone, I could say so many things, but on behalf of the entire WM Chino team, I want to thank you for always being there for us and supporting us, not only with our truck being displayed at your car show, but throughout the years. Thank you so much. You truly make you resonate the love that you have for our city, and it's contagious. And I really want to thank you for everything you've done and will continue to do, because I know you won't stop. But also on a personal note, thank you so much for always being there, for being a great mentor to me, and for being a perfect example of what a community member should be.
Now, we also have a certificate of commendation from the City of Chino Hills, which reads, congratulations on your retirement with the City of Chino, and it's dated this 15th day of November. So there's one more. Now, is there anyone in the audience that I haven't called on that would like to present Walt with anything? Okay, then we're going to get one great big group picture, and then we're going to let this amazing man speak. I know. Everybody come up. Let's see. Or that would work, or we could get behind. Yeah. Yeah. Walt, introduce everyone that's here from the family.
Okay. Okay. No.
Not yet.
Okay, I'm introducing my family. This is my granddaughter, Dawn Amon. My granddaughter, Michelle Castro. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Michelle Castro. My daughter, Sherry Tima. My daughter, Robin Reyna. Getting nervous here. My son-in-law, Jerry Reyna, and grandson-in-law, Charles Ammon. So thank you, guys. Well, let's stay right here with me. Yeah. Try to keep this short because you know I'm not long. Okay. Thank you. I'm genuinely touched by your kind words and good wishes. As you know, I was appointed to complete Mark Hargrove's term on the City Council representing District 2 after his passing. Those are big shoes to fill, but I was honored to be allowed to serve the duration of his term. Mark was a good man, and he loved the city, he loved the Lord, and he loved his family, and he was taken way too soon. I was not exactly a rookie, but the experience on the City Council has given me a new perspective of our community. I first became active in the Chino community when I joined the Chamber as a businessman, later as a Community Services Commissioner, and then as a Planning Commissioner for a little over 20 years. I also had the honor of working with nonprofits and faith groups, and Kiwanis, of course. I have enjoyed all these various roles and opportunities. They have allowed me to connect with so many different people in our city. In the 2 years on council, I really enjoyed planning for Chino's future. Deciding among different designs for future city council for Civic Center, for example, was a new and interesting experience. The biggest change and challenge of being on the city council was the city budget. As a commissioner, we don't really talk about spending money, but as a council member, it's always a consideration. I hope I have made a positive difference for Chino and its people in my time in the council. It is an experience I will cherish. I was asked to provide some advice to my successor and future members on the council. The most important thing they can do is prepare for the tough decisions to be made. Read your agenda. That's in capital letters here. I learned a lot from reading those huge binders, and we owe it to our staff and constituents. I also have to say that I learned a lot from my colleagues. The mayor's breadth and depth of knowledge about issues is impressive, and I am amazed at her ability to conduct a professional and cordial meeting. Some other mayors should take a few notes. Thank you for trusting me for this position. I also have appreciate Mark Lucio's concern for the interests of his constituents and his advocacy on their behalf. As a former police chief and city employee, Karen has brought a unique perspective to the city council and insight to the position. And from Chris Flores, who I replaced as the new kid on the council block, I appreciate his positive attitude, energy, and genuine care and concern for everyone in the community. To the department directors and staff, I appreciate the quality of work you do and that you always strive to improve this city for our residents and businesses. I would also like to thank the Kiwanis Club members for being patient with me while my attention was focused on city business. And of course, I'd like to thank my family as well. I think my wife Dee would have been proud to see me on here on the council, even though it has meant spending less time with our daughters and grandkids. I appreciate your patience and support, and I promise to be around more soon. And to Dr. Linda Reich, I wish you all the best as city manager, and I know you'll serve our city well with your dedication to this community. And thank you all for your support, and I will see you at the next annual Corn Feed Run Car Show and Cruise.
They're going to take them all home for you. Oh, my goodness. I want to thank all of you for being here, for honoring Walt. It's been an amazing, amazing run, Walt. Okay. Dr. Wright, do we have any additions or changes to our agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'd like to remove item 9, final acceptance of public improvement track map 18693, because that item is included on number 15 for tonight.
Okay. Do any council members wish to have any items pulled? Walt?
I would like to pull item 6. It's really a great deal, and I'd like the public to hear about it.
Okay, we will do that when we get to the consent calendar. Will do. Okay, under information in our packet is the Economic Development Report for November 2022. If you get a chance, please read it. It has some very interesting information. Under public announcements, Thanksgiving closures. First, as we head into our Thanksgiving holiday season, on behalf of the City Council, I would like to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. I know I speak for everyone when I say that we are honored and incredibly thankful to have the opportunity to serve this outstanding community, and we're excited for what is in store for the upcoming year. Now, with Thanksgiving just around the corner, I also want to inform everyone that City Hall will be closed on Thursday, November 24th, as well as Friday, November 25th, in observation of Thanksgiving holiday. City Hall will reopen on Monday, November 28th, at its regular operating hours of 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the afternoon. Under holiday events, also with the holidays just around the corner, please make sure you mark your calendars for some of our highly anticipated annual events. First, on Saturday, December 3rd, the City of Chino, in collaboration with the Chino Valley YMCA, will hold its 11th annual Reindeer Romp 5K. The annual Reindeer Romp is the first leg of the Chino Triple Crown and will begin at Ayala Park, located at 5665 Edison Avenue, with a start time of 8 o'clock for the Kids Fun Run and 8:15 for the 5K walk. Registration is required for this event, and all participants will receive a shirt and a finisher medal. Also, please note that if you register on or before November 28th, you'll receive a $5 discount. For more information, please call the Chino Valley YMCA at 909-597-7445. Then on Tuesday, December 6th, right here on the City Hall lawn, we'll be holding our annual tree lighting ceremony just before the City Council meeting. As usual, the tree lighting ceremony will begin at 6 p.m., where everyone can join the council as we flip the switch and welcome the holiday season here at Chino City Hall. Following the tree lighting ceremony, there will be opportunities for pictures with Santa with the City Council meeting beginning at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. For more information on the Christmas tree lighting ceremony and the City Council meeting, please call the admin department at 909-334-3305. Excuse me. Finally, on Saturday, December 10th, the city will be holding its annual Chino Youth Christmas Parade and Fair. The parade will begin at 9 a.m. and will start at the corner of Monte Vista Avenue and Riverside Drive. The parade will head east on Riverside Drive, turn south on Central Avenue, and finish at the corner of Central and Chino Avenues right in front of the Chino Civic Center. Also beginning at 9 a.m. is our Christmas Fair. This will be occurring right in the heart of our Civic Center. Throughout the day, even more fun events are scheduled, including Santa's Village at the Chino Youth Museum, outstanding food vendors, and family entertainment. For more information, please contact our Community Services Department at 909-334-3258. Next on the agenda is public comments. This is the time and the place for the general public to address the council about items that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. First, we have written requests to speak, and our first is Pastor Mike Spradlin from the Valley Christian Church. He's going to lead us in an invocation, and I invite all those who would wish to join us to please stand.
I don't usually talk before I pray. Most of you know that, but good evening, everyone. As a representative of our faith community, Walt, you and I have worked on many faith projects together, and tonight I have the honor and the privilege of praying for you, to bless you as well. I will share this. Walt is a man of, as the proclamation said, grace, humility, and compassion. And that was evidenced to me earlier this year when we went to a mayor's prayer breakfast. And I remarked how your shirt looked like my family tartan, Scottish tartan. And 2 days later, he shows up at my office, and he hands me a bag with that shirt in it. So he literally gave me the shirt off of his back. Will you join me in prayer? Father, thank you so much for the opportunity we have to dedicate tonight to you and ask for your blessing on what happens here. And Lord, we do mention our friend, our brother, our mentor, Walt. I thank you for his grace, humility, and compassion that he has demonstrated to us in this community over and over again. Lord, I thank you for his leadership, that he leads like Jesus. And Lord, that is one of those things that we want to have said of us when we meet you face to face. And so, Lord, I know that that's what happens here because he has been a faithful servant to you first and then our community, and we are so blessed. And Lord, as we go into the Thanksgiving season, we have a lot to be thankful for people in our lives like Walt who give of themselves sacrificially. We have an amazing community that we work and serve and live in, and we thank you for the blessings and the benefits that we receive here, and also the benefit of giving back in service, as Walt has done for all these years and will continue to do. And Lord, we ask your blessing on him as he continues to do that, some well-needed rest, some time working on engines and things like that. And Father, we also thank you for the privilege of serving together. And so, Lord, I ask your blessing on our city for getting us through an election season, for the new and returning council members that will be coming up shortly. Thank you, Lord, for the privilege of being in Chino. We love you and we honor you tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
God bless
Thank you, Mike. Next, we have Sonia Shaw. Sonia?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sonia Shaw. I wasn't actually planning on speaking, but when I found out last minute we were going to honor Walt, I just couldn't help but say a few words to him. Walt, you are a blessing to many. It's always good to be blessed, but to be a blessing is just such a gift to many of us in the community. And everyone that knows you is totally blessed by you and your wisdom. I can say as a parent, you know, a lot of us in the community had faced something recently that was challenging. And I remember seeing you at the Chino City of State, and I walked up to you and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know you, you're famous. And you looked at me and you said, no, you're famous. And we both hugged each other, and I wanted a picture with you. And you took a picture with me. But from that moment, it was something special because you have given not just me, but many parents wisdom and guidance in something that we needed so badly for our children. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being that person to support us, being that person to guide us, being that person to just pour into us. Thank you, Walt. You are amazing, and we love you.
Thank you, Sonia. Next, we have Mike Garcia, who's going to talk to us about the boxing show coming up. Mike?
Mayor, good evening. It's been a while since I've been up here.
Yes, it has been. And you brought Ray.
Yes, I have our vice president from the boxing board, Ray Morales, one of the coaches there too for many years. We would like to invite you tonight to the boxing show on Sunday at Goblin Gloves. It starts at 1 o'clock, and we would like to see you guys all there. Chief of Police too, Police Department, everybody we would like to see you guys there.
That's this Sunday at 1?
This Sunday at 1 o'clock.
At the NAC.
At the NAC. And here I'll give Ray the flyers, he'll give them to you, and hopefully we'll see you there.
Okay,
Thank you,
Mike.
Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, those are the only written requests that I have to speak. Is there anyone else that has anything to say about any items that are not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. I need a motion for every item except item number 6 and item number 9. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilperson Comstock. Well, you have to vote.
I'm in. Trying.
You're trying. Okay. And the consent calendar passes unanimously. Item number 6 is the federal asset forfeiture, Flock Safety Automated License Plate Reader Camera and Software. This is to approve a 2-year lease agreement with Flock Group Incorporated for 39 automated license plate reader cameras and software. Our presentation this evening will be by Lieutenant Tomasek and Captain Bielkin.
Good evening. My name is Dustin Tomasek. I'm a lieutenant here at the Chino Police Department and came to talk to you about automated license plate readers, also known as the ALPRs. Kind of give you a little bit of background about it. So the Chino Police Department started the ALPR program here in Chino in 2017. Since then, the system has expanded into about 87 cameras at 18 different intersections. So we've been able to solve a lot of crimes using the system, been able to apprehend a lot of criminals, and there's some new excitement in that and some room for growth. So in 2021, the ALPR cameras created 449 calls for service throughout our city, which helped recover 115 stolen vehicles just singly in that year, and resulted in 123 arrests for miscellaneous violations and criminal offenses. Next slide. The evolution of the ALPR technology is what we wanted to talk about. There's some improvements in the software now, and it creates the ability for us to use it in intersections that weren't previously available because the infrastructure wasn't there. The early technology required power and also, in some areas, fiber to be ran to be able to run the cameras. And the locations were limited, could not all be covered, which included a lot of our areas down in the southern end of town, as well as the east along Euclid Avenue, the corridors. Flock Safety recently created a standalone system that uses cellular-based system, and also solar power, which allows us to use it in those areas. The additional standalone system will complement our existing 87 ALPRs and will cover most of the ingress and egresses in and out of the city, so we'll be able to catch a lot more criminals. The Chino Police Department's Real-Time Crime Center has been very successful, and it's well known across the state of California, so much so that recently this year they were called upon to give a presentation at the annual symposium for real-time crime centers, which took place in Elk Grove, California. Our analysts went up and did a very good job presenting, and after that, which led to, it was very well received, which led to Flock approaching our staff and asking to partner to fight crime, and basically offered to give us a 60-day trial, risk-free. They installed cameras in our city at no charge with the anticipation of us potentially benefiting from them and being able to purchase them or lease them in a program. So it included 20 additional intersections and 39 cameras at those intersections, which covered the areas. The map is here. In the black area is all the intersections that covered, and the red and green are the areas and the directions of travel. So like I was previously saying, the 39 cameras at the 20 intersections cover the majority of the area that wasn't previously covered by the vigilant cameras that we currently have. Between the two systems, we pretty much have every way in and out of the town covered to be able to catch the criminals either coming in to commit the crimes or leaving after they commit them. The 60-day pilot program is what I spoke about. That's what the Flock manufacturer approached our real-time crime center analysts and wanted to partner with us. In the first 3 weeks of that program, it started in October. It's still currently running. The staff report was done about 3 weeks into the program. And in that, it resulted in the 3-week period, it resulted in 36 alerts, which directly related to 9 stolen vehicles recovered, numerous narcotic seizures, recovered stolen property, some identity theft information. People with arrest warrants were apprehended, and multiple other various arrests. They were also used in investigations after the crime had been committed to go back and follow up on, and they were able to identify suspect information in commercial burglaries, residential burglaries, grand thefts, and also organized retail theft crew. This is some pictures of the cameras. This is what they look like. The middle is an actual camera. It's a Flock camera. The square piece is the solar panel. And then on the far right, you'll see it actually connected to one of our poles here in the city. It's at least 10 feet up is where they get mounted. They're very discreet, don't really stand out too much, and they fit right in with the other signals. On the far left, it's one connected next to a signal pole, and you can't really even make out where that one's located. It's the black box there.
The police department understands anytime we implement new technology that legitimate privacy concerns arise. The Flock cameras will be subject to the same strict policies and procedures that our original vigilant LPRs and cameras were subject to. It ensures that every time that we use these cameras, it will be only for a legitimate law enforcement purpose. These cameras also have built-in technology that make it very easy to audit the use, and they track every inquiry. Our officers are trained on these policies, and they're trained on how to use the equipment. We also comply with state law. We only keep this data for 1 year per the laws of California, so it's not kept forever. It is our recommendation that the council approve the utilization of $84,750 of asset forfeiture funds to enter a prorated lease agreement with Flock that will expire in June 30 of 2023. And then the police department will request $100,000 in our budget for fiscal year 2023-2024 to renew the lease and carry us through that fiscal year. And that's the end of our presentation. We'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
And, Dustin, any questions? Walt, did you want to ask any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but I'm sure glad that we have this available for us, and we're going to lock up now every entrance to the city. So we'll be able to keep we're going to get a reputation. They won't even bother to come around here anymore. So I think it's great.
Well, that's what we're hoping for, is just word get out in the criminal world. Just stay out of Chino. You're going to get caught if you come here. Karen?
I have a question about it.
Yes.
Captain, Lieutenant, did the Flock cameras, are they integrated with the other cameras from Vigilant? Are they
they talk to each other, they work on the same system, just out of curiosity?
It's two separate databases, but
Okay.
it works really the same way. So there's several agencies around us, including our neighboring agencies that are using Flock. So we have a system with them, and then we have a system with Vigilant, which is the current system. And we're able to access both, our crime analysts access both. So they're able to get immediate alerts and hits, just like they would on Vigilant for stolen vehicles and things like that. But it also works connected, you can connect to the other agencies who have Flock, and you'll get hits that you didn't receive on Vigilant.
I think it's great that we're going to shore up some ingress and egress locations to the community as we track criminal offenders as they come to commit crimes in our community. And as you know, I'm very, very proud of the Real-Time Crime Center and the analyst and all the work that the police department does, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mark?
Yes. Now, I know we're going to have some cynical people that are going to be looking at this presentation. They're going to be saying, why is the police department or the city spending close to $85,000 on a system to get stolen cars? But the reality is it's more than just stolen cars. I believe we had a professional murder that occurred, I think it was sometime last year, and a lot of people thought it was never going to get solved. But because you guys were able to get the type of vehicle that the person fled in, and you were able to get those images from the various cameras throughout the city, you guys were able to solve a crime that a lot of people didn't think you guys were going to be able to solve, and you guys arrested a murderer that probably would have gotten away in another community. So it's not just something that we're just looking for people in stolen cars, but we're actually looking for people that commit serious crimes here in the city. And this is a tool that we're going to be able to utilize to be able to track these individuals down, identify them, and obviously arrest them. So I'm a big proponent of this technology. I like the fact that it ties into all the other surrounding cities so that we're able to follow them all the way through. But I appreciate you guys coming with this project, and I'm really a firm believer that we need to utilize this type of technology, especially with the way the crime rates are rising in all the other cities around us. That's all I have.
Okay. Well, our police department does an amazing job of catching the bad guys. And there have been many times when it's been said that they'll get away with it. You know, you guys will never find it. And sometimes it's taken time, maybe 1 or 2 years, but you always get your man. So we're really proud of the work that you do. And I think word probably is out there in the criminal world where they're a little bit more hesitant to come to Chino. This is another tool that you deserve and that our community deserves. And thank you very much for locating this grant and moving forward with it. So, Walt, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
And got to get my screen back. Come on. Okay, we have a motion from Walt Pocock, second from Chris Flores. And the item passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is new business. Item number 12, award professional services agreement for ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. This is to approve a professional services agreement between the city and Bureau Veritas Technical Assessments, LLC from Irvine, California, for a citywide self-evaluation and development of an ADA transition plan for an amount of $538,551.20 and authorize an additional $53,855 for project contingency for a total contract not to exceed $592,406.20. Our staff report this evening will be from Lisa Almili, Accessibility Coordinator. Lisa.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. The item before you for consideration is the recommendation to award a professional services agreement for a citywide ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability and protects the rights of individuals with disabilities in a multitude of areas. Title II of the ADA requires state and local government to ensure access to all individuals, not just related to physical accessibility, but also in the delivery of programs and services. The law requires public entities to conduct a self-evaluation and to create an ADA transition plan addressing any barriers to access. On September 12, 2022, the city formally released an RFP through Planet Bids for a citywide ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. This project includes evaluation of 3 distinct areas: city-owned buildings and parks, public right-of-way facilities, and city programs and policies. From these evaluations, along with public outreach and comment, the ADA transition plan will be developed. The transition plan will be a living document and serve as a roadmap for future city projects and improvements. The city received 1 proposal in response to the RFP, which was from Bureau Veritas Technical Assessments, LLC. BVTA has extensive experience in providing comprehensive accessibility evaluations, as well as the development of ADA transition plans. They have provided similar services to other jurisdictions, possess the necessary qualifications for this project, and have been deemed a responsive and responsible proposer. Upon council's approval of this item tonight, staff will form an accessibility compliance team to start gathering the extensive documentation in preparation for the project kickoff meeting in early January 2023. This team will be involved throughout the project to ensure the transition plan is integrated into the citywide approach for all future improvements. Therefore, staff recommends City Council award a contract to Bureau Veritas Technical Assessments, LLC, in the amount of $538,551.20 and authorize an additional $53,855 for project contingencies for a total contract not to exceed $592,406.20 for a citywide self-evaluation and ADA transition plan. This concludes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Lisa. Any questions from council members or comments?
I do have a comment.
Okay, Mark?
First of all, I want to, obviously, this is a step forward that we're doing. This is something that's been needed. Obviously, we've talked to some of our attorneys representing us in ADA. They've told us that and for the general public, if they don't understand what this means, but there's several areas and ramps throughout the city that don't meet our ADA or not ADA compliant. And as a result of that, this will give us the ability to go out, look at those ramps, determine whether or not they're compliant. If they're not compliant, we'll be able to come up with a list. And then we'll be able to have a transition plan, at least address the ones that are more serious, or at least they're not as functional as they should be. Work on those first and then transition eventually to all the ones and fix the ones throughout the city. So this is something that we definitely need to do because obviously there's folks out there that make a living suing cities for not being able to comply with these type of things. So I appreciate the staff moving forward in this. This is something that's been long overdue, and I appreciate the fact that we're getting this done and that we're starting to move forward to be able to put some of these things behind us. And I thank you.
Any other comments, council? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address? Yes, ma'am. If you have to come up here, Josie.
Good evening. My name is Josie Garo, and this is my son, Tony. But we had Lisa come out because Tony lives over here at Ivy College Park. And we had some little situations there with the street crossings and just the track. There's a trail behind the complex. And we just had like a lot of different questions and stuff. And Lisa came out, and she was wonderful. And I was really pleased that our city had someone that really knew the needs of disabled people, because she really does. I could tell right away by her expertise just with the blind. I mean, I was very impressed by her, and we're very blessed to have her, because I've been around a lot of people that work with disabilities, and she just hit it right away. Lisa, thank you for helping us. She also got some things for us done, like tree cutting, and just she took pictures of everything. She was just so professional and so easy to talk to that I just appreciate that Chino has a coordinator that is knowledgeable and professional as she is. Tony, did you want to say something?
Yeah. Lisa had gave me different pointers, and when I travel and cross the streets, like busy intersections, and to keep me safely traveling again.
Good,
Thank you.
Tony, I'm glad.
Thank
well, and compliments to you too, Josie, because you've been a real advocate for Tony. And Tony, you're a brave guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're out there doing stuff, so.
And you know, it's not only there's so many disabilities, and Lisa, I mean, she even gave me some input, like with what the bus service could do and just different things that we can get done. She gave me her number, and she goes, Josie, when you have a question, just let me know. Maybe we can figure something out, because I know whatever helps Tony helps other people.
Yeah, that's true. And Omnitrans does have a lot of services now for disabled people.
And Lisa, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Well, we've worked really hard over the last several years to try to do quite a bit of work in our community for the ADA. And we've spent a lot of money trying to do the ramps that are correct and, you know, do the sidewalks that are right. And it's been a learning curve that we've suffered for, gosh, over 20 years, I would say, you know, trying to figure the law out, what we need to do. And we've not done a good job in some areas and done an outstanding job in others, but I think through, you know, our very, very dedicated staff who've spent a lot of time learning about ADA requirements and stuff, I think we're finally where we need to be. And this transition plan, like Mark said, it's long overdue, but, you know, sometimes it takes time to figure out what you need to do and how you need to do it. So I think if you compare the City of Chino to communities around us, we're a lot farther ahead than a lot of our neighboring communities. So thanks to staff for all your hard work, and we'll get there eventually. So with that, I would entertain a motion and a second for item number 12, please. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilperson Comstock. My screen keeps rocking. Come on. And it passes unanimously. Okay, item number 13, amendment to the policy on accessible pedestrian facilities. This is to adopt resolution number 2022-079, approving an amendment to the citywide policy on accessible pedestrian facilities. Our staff report will once again be by Lisa Almeli.
Thank you again, Mayor, members of City Council. It is my pleasure to bring before you tonight for your consideration the adoption of resolution number 2022-079, approving the 2022 update to the City of Chino policy on accessible pedestrian facilities. In December 2019, City Council approved a resolution to adopt the policy, which is a single document comprised of regulations and guidelines for accessibility in the public right-of-way. The policy provides scoping and technical requirements for pedestrian facilities within the city, as well as how to design and construct those facilities so that they meet or exceed the minimum requirements of federal and state law. Changes to the state regulations within the California Building Code prompted an update to the policy. At the same time, the city wanted to take the opportunity to make other changes so that the policy would be a more fluid document and have additional insight on some of the more challenging regulations. Attached in your packet tonight is not only the proposed update for your consideration, but also the documented changes to the existing policy for comparison. Sections were reorganized and expanded for clarity, along with the addition of references to the governing standards. An appendix of exhibits was added to explain provisions in a visual format, And lastly, modifications and exceptions were made to the policy to allow for greater constructability while maintaining the higher level of accessibility than the imposed regulations. These changes have resulted in a user-friendly, comprehensive document. It has been a multi-departmental collaboration with extensive review and input from our accessibility attorney, Michael Maurer, as well as our city attorney and other accessibility experts. This update has been thoroughly examined and vetted to ensure regulatory compliance without diminishing the high level of accessibility Chino strives for. This is of the utmost importance. Therefore, staff recommends City Council adopt Resolution Number 2022-079, approving the 2022 update to the City of Chino Policy on Accessible Pedestrian Facilities. This concludes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Lisa. And again, this is another area that we've spent an enormous amount of time employing actual legal expertise to make sure we get it right. There will always be personal opinions that it should change or be a little bit different, but we have to rely on experts in the field who can defend us legally if there are any issues, and we have vetted this thoroughly, and so personally I'm very comfortable with this, and I'm glad that we're finally bringing it forward. Any comments from council? Karen?
Lisa, I want to thank you for yours and staff's work on this. If you haven't had a chance to read the agenda before tonight's meeting is about a lot of ADA and accessibility. And as the mayor has already stated, we spent an enormous amount of time trying to bring forward some best practices moving forward. Having spent the better part of 32 years of my life adhering to department policies and procedures, I look at this document as well as a living document, as well as some of our other ordinances and policies, Lisa. We've really made a lot of progress in the past several years in this field for us as a city. There are people who are also, sometimes they get frustrated or happy, depending on your perspective on this. One of the things the pandemic taught us was we want better connected communities moving forward. But you do have people who get frustrated when we try to adhere to the rules and regulations of the ADA and these policies. So I do know that this policy contains a lot of cleanup. If you looked at it, it's in the report stricken in red. Some of it I understood, some of it I don't understand, but I know our experts here in the city know what they're doing. So I'm happy to see this policy come forward, and thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Any other council comments? Okay, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilperson Flores. The item passes unanimously. Next, item 14, approval of settlement agreements. This is the approval of settlement agreement with KB Homes, Lennar Homes, Lewis Companies, Richmond American Homes, and Woodside Homes for required accessibility improvements. The settlement agreement is not a project as defined by CEQA. Staff report this evening will be provided by our city attorney, Fred Galante.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and all of those in attendance. Consistent with the trend of considering ADA-related matters, these settlement agreements fall in line with that. The city has been engaged in long-standing disputes with various developers of several residential tracts within the city. Those developers include KB Homes, Lennar Homes, the Lewis Companies, Richmond American Homes, and Woodside Homes. I know some of their representatives are here this evening. The dispute centered on whether the developers designed and constructed accessible curb ramps and sidewalks in the projects per the requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act and California law. Some of these completed improvements date back as early as the mid-2000s and all the way through 2020. The developers essentially contended that the improvements were consistent with the plans approved by the city, As was discussed earlier in conjunction with the proposed transition plan, contract, and the policy on accessible pedestrian facilities, city staff became more familiar with accessibility requirements and best practices. This led the city to not accept improvements where it was determined that the improvements were inconsistent with those requirements. Following extensive negotiations, the parties have reached agreement on resolving those long-standing disputes per the terms of the settlement agreements that are attached to the agenda. The approval of these agreements paves the way for the council to consider the companion item on tonight's agenda for the acceptance of various public improvements that have remained unaccepted and the release of bonds in place for those improvements. Each settlement agreement covers improvements for tracks, and they are categorized into categories A, B, C, and D based on the time of the plan approval or approval of encroachment permit for the projects. With that, Category A covers improvements from December 31, 2016 or earlier. The city will accept all improvements without further work or action by the developers in this category, except for processing administrative closeouts. Once all administrative paperwork has been completely submitted, city staff will have 45 days to verify all those submittals. Thereafter, the city will complete the release of the performance bonds. The developers will take out the required warranty security bonds. At the end of the warranty period, the city will release the warranty security within 10 days upon notice received from each of the developers. After the release of the warranty security, no further action will be taken. Upon acceptance, the city assumes responsibility for all improvements, which by this point range in ages from 6 to 17 years in the field. This will allow for proper cataloging and maintenance of streets and infrastructure in the areas. Category B improvements covers those from January 1, 2017 through December 31, 2019. The city will accept the improvements within this category as with Category A, but developers will pay the city a total of $359,865.52 to allow the city to make corrections or perform other remedial work to bring the accessible elements into compliance. This amount was established using a negotiated construction amount of $7,000 per corner and 8% of the project area at $7 per square foot for sidewalks. Although the city has discretion on how to program these funds, per city council direction, the funds will be earmarked to correct the improvements identified in this category. Payments will be made within 30 days of the city invoicing the separate developers. Council approved and reported out at the prior meeting, November 1st, a settlement of a slightly higher amount. However, the new amount reflects the shift of one of the projects out of Category B, where the city is to fix the items, and into Category C, which the developers are responsible to fix. With that, for Category C and D, those encompass improvements from January 1, 2020 to the present. The developers will construct or have constructed accessible improvements based on the city's current accessibility policy and other standards. In effect, and other standards in effect at the time of the plan approvals. The developers will follow the regular construction process for approvals, submittals, punch lists, acceptance by the council at an appropriate future date, and posting the standard warranty securities. Approval of these separate agreements will finally resolve longstanding disputes regarding the scope and extent of accessibility requirements. The agreements require the parties to waive any future claims, damages, or rights to reimbursement of any attorney's fees against each other as a result of the disputes. And the agreements will allow the city to accept all public infrastructure within the tracts, capitalizing all assets and putting all facilities on maintenance schedules to ensure proper long-term functioning and service provisions to residents in these areas. We did receive some requests for minor modifications to the settlement agreement, and that came from Lennar as late as this afternoon. Accordingly, we would request that the council, should it wish to proceed to accept this item, to approve it, subject to the city attorney's right to make non-substantive changes to those settlement agreements in case there are some, to incorporate that change and in case there are some additional changes. As the council knows, we were rushing to get everything all compiled, finalized with the separate developers, and placed on the agenda concurrent with the next item on your agenda for acceptance. With that, I just want to recognize and thank Nick Ligori and his staff, especially Mike Haru, as well as my partner Ross Trindle, for working so tirelessly to secure these settlement agreements, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Fred. First, do we have any questions from council or comments? Mark?
You know, I just want to thank our staff as well as our attorneys, as well as the developers. These are all in College Park and the Preserve. For the longest time, we weren't accepting some of these projects, and in turn, it ended up that we weren't capping streets, and the residents were frustrated with us. So I'm glad that we finally were able to come to a resolution, be able to come to a compromise so that we can move forward and make the communities better for the residents. So I want to thank all of you for being able to come to the table, being able to work this out, being able to come to a settlement so that we can start moving forward and put this behind us. This is, like the mayor said, this has been going on for a long, long time, but it's finally coming to an end. And at one point, you know, we gotta say, okay, we need to accept some responsibilities on both sides. We need to move forward, and we need to do what's better for the community. And I think you guys have done that. So my hat's off to you guys. I appreciate it, and I know that the residents, both the Preserve and in College Park, can appreciate you guys' efforts. So thank you.
Karen?
I want to thank our staff as well. Thank you, Fred, for the report. I also want to thank a lot of the representatives of the developers that are here tonight for working with us on this. It's been long overdue. As you kind of see, the map tonight is looking for us to not just change policy to help us be more effective in the future, but to come up with a map to help us be successful. Some of these things, I can sit up here and openly admit that throughout my career at the police department, even as the chief of police, there were times where I made mistakes. And I was always grateful to the city for helping me and my department find a way through that. Some of this has really been challenging for us as a community, but thank you to all the staff that's worked on this. And I really do believe that a lot of the actions we're taking here tonight are going to allow us to move progressively forward with not just our development community, but also our neighborhoods. And, and I know our staff is working hard in order to, make sure that we're successful in this arena moving forward. So thank you to everybody that's been involved in this, and I look forward to getting this done this evening. It's been a challenge, but I also think it's going to be good for us moving forward, Mayor. So thank you very much.
Any other council comments? Stupid voice. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address us on this item? Well, on again, behalf of my own thoughts, this has been hanging over our heads for a long, long time, as we all know. And I know a lot of the residents were very frustrated with us. But we were paralyzed in some instances, as were the developers, in quite frankly not being sure how to interpret ADA. And there were different sections of ADA in different documents that actually conflicted with each other. So a lot of this was an opinion, is a degree okay? Is 2 degrees okay? And it just got to the point where literally our staff, and I believe the developers' staffs, were just paralyzed. We couldn't move off the dime. We couldn't resolve it because nobody was right. So out of desperation, we sought the advice of legal expertise who could defend us in court and help us make a decision on what to do. And then through hours and hours and hours of collaboration between the development companies and our staff, you know, we finally got to where we are today. And it's going to be good to be able to move forward. And I think we're a far better community, and I'm sure, you know, the development community also. You guys have learned a lot, I'm sure, just as we have. And it's been very frustrating, but, you know, thank God we're going to get through this. And we'll move forward now with hopefully no more hiccups. We'll be able to complete the projects and complete capping the streets and finalizing these, and you'll get your bonding money back, and we'll finally put this to rest and have the warranties out there and just move on with life. So I want to thank everyone. I want to thank our staff, Nick, especially you and your team, all the development companies that are represented here this evening, and those aren't, for working with us and getting through this, because it's been tough. It's been tough, and it's been a long time, and a lot of frustration and fear, quite frankly, because sometimes there are ADA advocates out there that, I mean, you live under constant threat of being sued, you know, and again, another opinion, right? There's your opinion, there's our opinion, and then there's an advocate's opinion that's completely different from anyone. And how do you come to a conclusion, right? Well, we finally have the conclusion, we finally have the documents. We'll never, I guess they say you're successful if no one's happy. So I'm sure that no one's completely happy with anything, so that must mean that we're successful. So with that...
Can't make everyone happy, Mayor.
Can't make everybody happy. Boy, don't we know that. So I would gladly entertain a motion and a second to settle this item. Fine.
And just as a reminder, with the additional recommendation to provide some authorization for me to approve non-substantive.
With that inclusion.
Thank you.
Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Pocock. And the item passes unanimously. And I apologize for my voice. I've had a really bad cough for about a week, so it keeps going in and out. Next item number 15, acceptance of public improvements in various tracts and developments. Another one, accept public improvements in projects completed by KB Homes, Lennar Homes, the Lewis Companies, Richmond American Homes, and Woodside Homes, consistent with the 5 separate settlement agreements between the City of Chino and those same developers. Staff report this evening will be provided by Nick Lagori, our Director of Development Services.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. As described previously by our city attorney, staff has been engaged in settlement negotiations with KB Homes, Lennar Homes, Lewis Companies, Richmond American Homes, and Woodside Homes on a large number of tracts in the City of Chino that have various elements of public improvements that are accessible under the Americans with Disabilities Act and California law. Some of these disputes, as described, have gone back over 15 years. Following these negotiations, the parties reached an agreement on the terms of the settlements, as Fred previously described. Each developer has completed or will shortly after acceptance complete submission of all required documentation and final work, which would include cap paving, striping, monumentation, as-built plans, and all of the administrative paperwork that goes behind acceptance of tracts. I want to thank the council very much for acknowledging the work, and I want to note that Jesus Plasencia, our assistant city engineer, has a lot of work ahead of him in completing all of this administrative paperwork to complete these acceptance projects. Acceptance of the projects resolves a significant backlog of approved but not yet accepted public improvements that have, however, been in use by the public for many years. All of the improvements for the projects listed in the staff report have been approved by field staff in the past, have been open and available for public use in the meantime, and have completed or are in the process of completing final document submittals, as I described, and are recommended for acceptance. Acceptance will also allow the city to fully integrate and capitalize all of these improvements into our maintenance and asset schedules, which we have not been able to do. and this will ensure the proper provision of public services to these residents in these areas as well as future maintenance. Staff recommends that the City Council accept the tracts as listed in the staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. Any council comments or questions? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on item number 15? Okay, the last item. Brian, please, I'd like to have a motion and a second. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second by Councilperson Comstock. And it passes unanimously. Congratulations to everyone who has worked so hard in this area. We're finally moving forward. Okay, item number 16. Discussion concerning permit parking for Parkside Village community and an update to the municipal code. This item is to receive and file a report requesting permit parking from the Parkside Village community and discuss proposed modifications to the Chino Municipal Code regarding residential permit parking areas. Staff report this evening will be by our city traffic engineer, Dennis Rawls.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight I'm presenting an informational update on a request for permit parking establishment by the Parkside Village community. We had hoped to present tonight a study initiating the permit parking process for the community. But during our review, staff discovered some concerns with the code that governs permit parking in the City of Chino, as currently written, that we'd like to address. So in the interest of providing timely communication, we felt an update to the City Council and the public was necessary tonight. Thank you. For some background, residential permit parking areas have been established in the City of Chino since 1975. Residential permit parking areas currently exist around Chino High School, Don Lugo High School, Ramona Junior High School, and Walnut Elementary, addressing out-of-area school-related parking concerns with adjacent neighborhoods. In Section 10.29 of Chino Municipal Code, the requirements and procedures for residential permit parking are provided. Council, staff, or residents via petition may initiate a request for permit parking consideration. Staff then prepares a study to determine if permit parking should be considered based on findings outlined in the code. Those findings are presented to the City Council, and if they determine the findings have been met, set a public hearing within 45 days. Staff would then notify the public through newspaper publication, site postings, and at the Council's request by mail. At the public hearing, the City Council would hear additional input and public comment, after which a determination will be made if permit parking shall be established. If approved, staff would then install permit parking signs, begin permit issuance to residents, and begin to administer the permit parking, including enforcement. Next slide, please. In reviewing the issues, the Parkside Village community is located on the east side of Yorba Avenue off Doheny Drive between Riverside and Chino Avenues. Staff has worked with the Parkside Village community on various quality of life related concerns since at least as early as 2021, at the beginning of 2021. Among those concerns include the overuse of on-street parking in their community, suspected vehicle abandonment, street maintenance related concerns, and similar concerns that have had the attention of our police department, code enforcement, public works services, and transportation divisions. Staff has worked to address many of these concerns, including modification of on-street parking on Yorba Avenue, where previously restricted parking was alleviated to help address parking concerns. Despite these efforts, the Parkside Village community continues to request the establishment of a residential permit parking area. In analyzing this request, staff reviewed the Chino Municipal Code and determined sections related to permit costs, citation amounts were inconsistent with how we currently charge for it as approved through other methods. Staff realized that the parking needs of today have evolved and that there is a broad subjectivity in the code as is currently written. Further, staff is concerned that non-school related permit parking establishment may set a new precedence that may lead to neighborhood reserved parking areas on public streets. Staff wishes to draft a code update to address these issues concurrently with the Parkside Village establishment consideration. Next slide, please. In conclusion, staff intends to present to City Council the parking study for the Parkside Village community at the December 6th City Council meeting, and will at that time ask the city to consider setting a public hearing. If approved by the City Council and within the 45-day requirement by code, the public hearing would be intended to occur on January 17th, 2023, giving staff time to publish and post public notices as required. At the same time, staff will prepare a draft update to the Chino Municipal Code addressing the inconsistencies and modernization of Section 10.29, addressing the concerns I mentioned earlier. It is staff's intention to keep the Parkside Village request on track and its consideration for establishment unaffected by the Residential Permit Parking Code update. This concludes my report and presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. We do have one request to speak, and that's Byron. Brian, I mean, sorry. I'm fading.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. I just wanted to comment and provide a little bit more information on what's been going on in our community. I've been a homeowner there in the Parkside Village area for the past 23 years. And for about the last 4 or 5 years, we've been dealing with a parking issue in our community. Now, the parking issue is not the results of residents from the streets in our community parking on our streets. The parking issue is the result of individuals and residents from other streets parking their vehicles and storing their vehicles on our streets in our community. Primarily to the large apartment complexes adjacent to the south of us. The residents or the customers of these businesses have been using our public residential streets to park and store their vehicles. So these apartment complexes have outgrown their footprint over the past 4 or 5 years. And they're currently using the public residential streets of our neighborhood as their parking lot for their customers. So, you know, the way our community sees this is no different than if this were customer parking for a restaurant or a grocery store. They wouldn't be allowed to use public residential streets for their customers as their business has outgrown their space, right? So what this has caused a lot of concerns in our neighborhood. We've been dealing with the city for several years now, with the PD, with the traffic division, with the zoning commission, with the zoning department, trying to resolve and trying to come up with a solution. The city has brought forth several ideas and implemented a couple things throughout the years. Unfortunately, the issue still remains. It's a regular occurrence on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for there not to be one single street parking on the streets of San Simeon and Doheny in our community. And these vehicles are not from the residents that live on those streets. Okay, it's overflow from the adjacent streets and the apartment complexes to the south of us. So, you know, we've been starting the process of trying to get parking permits as kind of a last resort to get our streets back. This obviously this is not the most ideal solution. We recognize that, but what else can we do? I mean, we need to get our public residential streets back. But one of the things that the residents of our community have been doing is leaving their trash cans out 24 hours a day, blocking spots. It's a perpetual trash day in our neighborhood, as the trash cans are left out there just so you can kind of reserve one spot in front of your house for when you get home in the evening. I do have one request. The traffic department did a traffic study and parking study in our community about a month or two ago. And we've communicated over the years pretty regularly that the issue is most prevalent on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Unfortunately, the study was conducted on a Tuesday and Wednesday evening when the parking situation could quite possibly be at its lightest. Nevertheless, on the Tuesday night that they did their study, the city identified that there was 16 additional cars on our streets that don't belong to residents of that street on a Tuesday night. Now, these are not big streets you saw on the map. These streets are only about 100 yards long. On the Wednesday night, the following night, there was 24 additional vehicles identified that are not from residents of that street. 24 cars on San Simeon and Doheny, not residents on the street. So this is the issue that we've been dealing with. I know we're in the infancy of this process going through to get the parking permits, but I encourage you and challenge you all, please, come by the streets. Come by on a Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. Give me a call. We can walk the streets together, and I can show you exactly what's going on in our community. So, thank you. Any questions?
Well, Brian, I think our staff is on it, and I'm sure we'll come up with something that will save your neighborhood.
Thank you.
Karen, you had a comment?
I've been working with Mr. Aceto, or just not working, but in contact with them regarding this matter with our staff for about 1.5 years now. And while I don't always support making certain areas of town permit parking because these are public streets, I do think this community has a unique situation, a problem that is specific to them and that they've been dealing with for a very long time. So I just want to thank staff for helping them. This is going to be, it is ridiculous, but it's also going to become, I think, more of a common problem there with zoning and density that we talk about. But certainly in this area, these residents have some density that is exasperating this problem in the area. So my thanks to the community for being so patient down there while our staff worked on this, and thank you to staff, and also thank you for discovering that we needed to do an update to our ordinance. Appreciate it.
Okay, so Dennis, it doesn't sound like we really need to take any action this evening, correct? Because you'll be bringing back, or do we need to, it's just file and receive a report, correct?
Correct. This was just for informational purposes unless city attorney has.
Fred,
That's correct.
We don't need a
No,
motion in a
just to
second.
receive
Okay.
the report.
Thank you very much for the information then. Item number 17, award a contract and appropriation, former fire station number 1 in Monte Vista Park House demolition project. This is to award a construction contract in the amount of $210,702 to Interior Demolition Earthwise Demo JV, Montrose, California, for the former fire station number 1 and Monte Vista Park House demolition project, NC 831. Staff report this evening will be provided by our Assistant Project Coordinator, Mr. Keith Martinez. Keith?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. In fiscal year 21-22, City Council adopted the city's strategic plan goals, identifying 17 projects set forth by council. Included in these goals is the demolition of former fire station number 1 and the Monte Vista Park House. The project will consist of demolition of the 2 facilities, which includes lead and asbestos remediation, building material and vegetation removal, and site leveling. A notice inviting bids was published in the Chino Champion and on Planet Bids. On October 13th, 2022, 13 bids were accepted electronically. The lowest bid submitted was Interior Demolition Earthwise Demo JV of Montrose, California, in the amount of $210,702. Staff reviewed the contractor's licenses, bonds, and references and have determined them to be the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. Staff is requesting City Council approval to award a contract to Interior Demolition Earthwise Demo JV in the amount of $210,702 and authorize expenditures of up to $21,070 for project construction contingencies for a total project amount of $231,772. In addition, staff is requesting City Council approval for the appropriation of funds for the total project contract amount of $231,772 to the Building Management Fund with a year-end transfer from the General Fund reserves. The City Attorney's Office has reviewed all the documents and found them to be in order. This concludes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Keith, what is the timeline that you're looking at for the demolition?
We would like to start sometime next month in December. We have already had a conversation with the potential contractor, and they said probably 4 to 6 weeks to have both completed.
Okay. Now, because the Christmas parade is coming up, you're not going to start with the fire station, correct?
No.
Okay. And then we have the corn feed car show coming up in April. So the fire station will be demoed and all cleaned up before the car show, right?
Correct. However, we're going to be putting some mulch down for dust control, so we would advise not to have it in an area where cars will be parking.
Okay.
That's not good.
I think.
Sorry, Walt.
We're looking at that area to park more cars.
Well, I would suggest that perhaps you work with Mr. Pocock and make sure that the corn feed run car show has access to the area if possible. And maybe the mulch that used can have cars parked on it. Anyway, work with that because that is a very big event for us. So 2 things, Christmas parade and the car show.
Will do, Mayor.
And thank goodness this is finally going to get done. Okay, thank you very much. Any comments from council or questions? Okay.
I'm happy to, Mayor.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion and a second. I don't know. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilperson Pocock. There's much they can use that could be parked on. And the item passes unanimously. Item number 18, purchase order approval, Dave Bang Associates Incorporated. This is to approve a purchase order for Dave Bang Associates Incorporated, Orange, California, in the amount of $139,880.42 for the purchase of park benches, tables, and trash cans. Staff report this evening will be provided by our acting Public Works Services Manager, Mr. Ben Orozco.
Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. Tonight for your consideration is to approve a purchase order for city park equipment. This request stems from the city's continuous effort to improve the image and amenities of our city parks. Staff has identified items that are in need of replacement. These items include 15 park benches, 28 picnic tables, 11 ADA picnic tables, and 78 trash cans. These items will be placed at Heritage Park, Walnut Park, Via Park, Sebring Park, 7th Street Park, Oak Tree Park, and Centennial Park. So we're planning to spread them throughout the city as needed. This will improve aesthetics, safety, and usability of our park equipment, improving the quality of life for our residents. In an effort to optimize financial resources, Section 3.32.060B2 of the city's purchasing ordinance allows the city to take advantage of competitive bids awarded to contractors and vendors by other public agencies. This process has been utilized previously to purchase a variety of products and services utilized throughout the city. On November 10, 2020, Sourcewell issued a request for proposal RFP number 01052 and conducted a nationwide competitive bid process for the procurement of playground, park, and water play equipment and related accessories to the services. The contract term is effective until February 17, 2025. Consequently, the city contacted Dave Bang and Associates Incorporated and requested pricing utilizing Sourcewell's contract number 010521. Therefore, staff recommends that City Council approve a purchase order to Dave Bang Associates Incorporated in the amount of $139,880.42 for the purchase of park benches, tables, and trash cans. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Ben. Any comments or questions from council? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address? Yes, sir. Come forward. State your name for the record.
Hi, good evening. My name is Curtis Burton, and I'm a resident of the City of Chino. I would just ask how you have made the determination on which benches and picnic tables get replaced and or repaired.
So staff did a survey of the parks, and they picked the equipment that's in most need of repair. Also, they wanted to get some sports parks that are heavily used that are in need of repair. So we did survey every single park, got a count of everything in the parks, and We got about, within our budget that we have for the year, we're like $2,000 under with this purchase. So we did our research and we did try to get as much as we can with this one purchase.
I would just like to make a request for an evaluation of Cypress Trails Park.
Yes.
There's several park benches that surround the playground equipment where the children play that is getting old and rusty, and it could be a potential hazard. And I would just request an evaluation at this point in time based on the budget. If you could go out and take a look at it, I would surely appreciate it.
I'm sure staff can do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ben, is that, just for the resident, is that also, that's going to be part of our parks and infrastructure plan, right? As far as the evaluation of the parks?
This is just maintenance.
This is just maintenance, but
Yes.
it's when we do the parks and infrastructure review, isn't it going to include all of our parks? We did that?
As part of our Parks and Facilities Master Plan, we
Yeah.
did evaluate every park.
Okay.
And each piece of equipment within the park, we looked at, they were all graded for quality. So as we move forward, we're going to look at all of our parks because many of our parks, a lot of the equipment is old and it'll be replaced as we move forward.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say it for Kurt. I know we're on it with our parks. We're going to, do an evaluation of them and help make sure that they get the proper attention and replacement that they need. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilman Flores, second by Mayor Pro Tem Lucio. Item passes unanimously. Item number 19, Professional Services Agreement for Engineering and Design Services, project number SS231. This is to award a professional services agreement with Tate and Associates Incorporated, Santa Ana, California, for engineering, design, and bid support services for project number SN231, alley and sanitation rehabilitation at various locations. Staff report this evening will be provided by our CIP engineering manager, Maria Frazier.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, and audience. For your consideration tonight is the approval of the award of professional services agreement with Tate and Associates for the design of the 2022-2023 fiscal year alley sanitation improvement project SN231. This project will include the reconstruction of an alley located between D and C Street from Monte Vista Avenue to 5th Street. The scope includes driver approaches, sidewalk, curb and gutter, and paving, and the replacement of a 6-inch water line along this segment. On August 9, 2022, staff solicited proposals from on-call consulting firms to prepare plans, specifications, and estimates. And on August 31st, 2022, staff received 3 proposals. Staff evaluated the proposals and based on their qualifications, experience, and understanding of the scope, Tate and Associates demonstrated to have the technical ability to deliver the construction documents. Therefore, staff recommendation, the council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maria. Any questions of staff? Comments? Anyone in the audience would like to address the council on item number 19? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion in a second. Motion from Councilperson Comstock, second from Councilman Flores. Come on. The item passes unanimously. Item number 20, contract change order for Edison Avenue traffic signal modifications and interconnect communications project TR 151 HSIP. Approve a construction contract change order for the Edison Avenue traffic signal modifications and interconnect communication project TR 151 to KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dyna Electric, Los Alamitos, California, in the amount of $90,000. Staff report will once again be provided by Maria Frazier, our CIP engineering manager.
The second item for your consideration tonight is the approval of a change order for the traffic signal modifications completed at 3 intersections along Edison Avenue. at Yorba and Monte Vista and Ramona, also known as Project DR 151. The traffic signal modifications entail the installation of communications equipment for each traffic signal. Edison Avenue from Monte Vista Avenue to Spectrum West, Pipeline Avenue from Edison Avenue to Chino Avenue, and Chino Avenue from Pipeline Avenue to City Hall. Upon the final construction, the traffic signals communicate with the traffic signal master control system. This fiber optic backbone will be utilized by our police department to expand their license plate reader program. Throughout the project's construction, the city approved 5 contract change orders to address various unforeseen field conditions, all of which are listed on your staff report. The final change order number 6, address a punch-out list items which require additional concrete, asphalt, pedestrian push buttons, assemblies, and work needed to retrofit the 3 intersections, which is a total 12 corners and 24 ramp areas. These changes bring the project in compliance with the city's current accessibility policy, which was adopted after the award of this contract. Staff reviewed the cost incurred by the contractor and extensively negotiated the costs to $90,000. A $32,884.20 of contingency remains in the contract balance. Therefore, staff is requesting an amendment to KDC's contract in the amount of $57,115.80 for a total of $90,000 for to be able to cover the balance of the change order. All the work has been completed for the terms of the contract, and therefore it is staff recommendation. The council approves the staff report with the recommendations indicated. This concludes my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maria. Any comments or questions from council? Anyone in the audience want to address the council on item number 20? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion and a second, please. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, second from Councilman Flores. Item passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is Mayor and Council reports. Try to make mine brief. Wednesday, November 2nd, I attended the Omnitrans Board of Directors meeting and the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority Board of Directors. Also attended an annexation discussion with our general plan update consultants, and I met with several residents late that afternoon regarding the upcoming island annexation. On Thursday, November 3rd, I attended the Chino DeSalter Authority Board of Directors and the Inland Empire Utilities Authority Sewage Policy Committee. On Friday, November 4th, along with Mayor Pro Tem Lucio and Council Members Pocock and Comstock, we attended the Alyssa Blanchard's memorial service, which was very nice. Saturday, November 5th, along with Councilman Flores, I attended the 17th Annual Portuguese Philharmonic Festival, which was held in Chino this year. 7 bands from around California participated. Tuesday, November 8th through Sunday, November 13th, I came down with this horrible chest cold and cough, so I missed the Youth Sports President's Dinner, the second Preserve Groundbreaking, the second school Veterans Day event, the USC football game, and bark around Ayala Park. This cough is just a doozy. Thursday, November 10th, I virtually attended the appropriative pool meeting. Monday the 14th, I virtually attended the Omnitrans Safety Committee. And today, this morning, I attended my weekly meeting with our city manager. And then this afternoon, the farewell reception for Councilmember Pocock. And I want to congratulate Curtis Burton and Mark for winning your election, your second term, and Curtis for being our brand new council member. Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, your turn to talk.
Okay. I'll keep mine brief as well. On November 4th, I attended the services for Alyssa Blanchard. It was a nice event, but obviously very, it broke my heart just to see, nobody that young should pass away. But my heart and prayer goes out to the Blanchard family. On the 7th, I had a meeting with the city manager. On the 10th, I attended the Preserve School groundbreaking ceremony. I mean, there's a lot of excitement down there. It's something those folks have wanted for a long, long time, so it's nice that it's finally going to happen. And everything seems to be moving along. They're going to have a STEM program out of it, which they, I guess the residents didn't know that originally that was going to occur down there, but they're excited about it. It's going to be year-round, so from day one, it will be a year-round school. It will be a K through 12 school, a K through 8 school. And it'll be located just south of the shopping center. So I'm glad that everybody came together and they finally got that done. On November 11th, I attended the Veterans Day event. It's you're getting old when the parents go up there and they're representing their child that's in the military, and you remember when that was a little kid that grew up with your daughter. So, but they have a lot of pride, the Hoppenskiepen family, and I'm glad that they were there to represent their son. And they love Chino, and they got several sons, but that family is just, and they've always been just a great family to be around. They're a handful, but they're very good people. On November 12th, I attended the Preserve Thanksgiving Food Drive that was sponsored by Frogger Realty, All American Car Wash, and Roscoe's. And I believe they're going to be doing the food distribution in the back of City Hall on Saturday this week. Then on the 14th, I attended a meeting with the city manager. On the 15th, I attended the going away for Walt. They brought out cars for you. They went all out, so I think it was a great celebration and a great showing for you, Walt. And be sad to see you go. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Councilmember Comstock.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, I feel great.
Well, I didn't say great, I said better.
Oh, my.
On Wednesday, November 2nd, Mayor, I met with several North Chino residents regarding areas of issues of mutual concern. On that same day, I attended the Measure G bond oversight meeting at the school district. That night, I learned regarding the second school in the Preserve. I've always realized things are expensive, Mayor, as we see it here in our own city. But it ended up, the purchase for the land for the second school in the Preserve was $40 million, and to build the school and construct it is going to be $62 million. So that will be a $102 million school by the time it's constructed. But as you know, our residents down there need it. The school, the architecture, the design of the school is beautiful, and it's long overdue and well needed. So Mayor Pro Tem Lucio already covered some other things about it, but the bond oversight money is ongoing. Friday, November 4th, I attended the memorial services as well, along with the rest of the council, to mention for Alyssa Blanchard. I just ask that the community continue to keep the Blanchard family in their thoughts and prayers during this difficult time for the loss of their daughter. Monday, November 7th, I actually didn't in person attend my weekly meeting with the city manager. We called and spoke over the phone about several issues on that date. On November 9th, I crashed the Chino Youth Sports President's Dinner at Central Basco. I don't think myself much, I'm kind of a square. I don't think of myself as a party crasher, but I was actually there celebrating retired Councilmember Elrod's birthday, and I dropped in on the Youth Sports Dinner. So it was fun to see that team of people. They're great people, and it was a great turnout for, yes, I crashed it. For the recipient, who's Vince. I hope I don't botch his last name. Alamillo, is that correct? So well-deserved award for Vince, as he works hard with Chino National Baseball and doing a great job. So great selection there. On November 10th, I attended the groundbreaking ceremonies for the second Preserve K through 8th grade school, as already mentioned. On November 11th, I attended the Veterans Day celebration at the community building. I just want to thank staff for doing such a great job out there. The community building looked great. The memorials that we've added there, Mayor, are just a nice touch in the way we handle that now. It's
Bricks.
Yes, the bricks, beautiful. And I mentioned it to him earlier. He was here earlier, but our very own Sergeant Jesus Jaquez from the Chino Police Department was the keynote speaker. And boy, there's people who say that they don't like to speak after people. I never want to speak after Sergeant Jaquez again on subjects. He did a great job. And there's a great Marine whose 3 sons are now serving in branches of the military. So, thank you to him for his service, all our veterans in our community, as well as the family members who have children serving in the military to protect our nation. Later on the 11th, I dropped into the annual You Choose Southern California Heat basketball game at Don Lugo High School. The kids from SoCal Heat played members of the Chino Police Department, along with Council Member Flores. I don't know that there was enough sports rub in the Don Lugo gym to help the members of the Chino PD, but they imagined to bring home a very nice trophy. But I think your guys' days are waning. These guys are getting bigger and better. But what a fun event, and much thanks to You Choose and Richard and Lisa Montijo, Don Lugo High School. Everybody juice it up. There's so many people that support that event, and it's a fun night, and everybody had a good time. On November 14th, I attended my weekly meeting with the city manager. Today, I attended the thank you ceremony for Walt Pocock earlier this evening. Walt, I said my thank yous earlier, but just thank you for everything. It's been an honor to sit next to you on the dais and to work with you for the past several months. Just thank you again, and I look forward to several more community events together and seeing you at different things. Tomorrow night, for our residents at 6 p.m., I'll be attending the Don Lugo Sports Boosters meeting. Come out and support Don Lugo Sports. The group meets at 6 p.m. in the Teachers Lounge at Don Lugo. I hope to see you there if you're interested in helping, advance, the sporting programs at Don Lugo High School. I just want to wish everyone I also want to congratulate everyone who ran for public office. If you've never ran for public office, it's hard. It's a lonely path sometimes. And I also want to congratulate Mayor Pro Tem Lucio and my coworker, my former coworker, Curtis Burton, on his campaign election. So congratulations, Kurt. I want to wish everyone a nice Thanksgiving holiday. And Mary, you talk about it all the time, but many local community members here in Chino do a lot to provide food and even local dinners. That's part of what makes Chino so amazing. I mean, everybody from Isaiah's Rock to the Fragas to Food for Life to our own residents. There's so many different faith-based and community collaborations that want to help the members of our community. And we know that with inflation and the things that are happening in our community right now, the price of food is so expensive. So if you need help or you know a family that needs help, don't hesitate to reach out to us here at the city so we can get help to somebody you know that in need. And that concludes my report tonight, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Flores.
Thanks, Mayor. Hey, Chief, did you hear that? Our days are coming. Remember that. Remember that.
But they are.
Remember that. So on the 5th of November, I attended the 2022 student pitch over at the shops in Chino Hills, and I think the Chamber of Commerce did an amazing job, and thanks for selecting me as one of the judges for the pitch competition. But, I mean, some of these young entrepreneurs that are coming up, I mean, they have the greatest ideas that, you think, wow, why didn't I think of that, That same day, again, the Chamber of Commerce hosted the Youth Entrepreneurship Fair. That morning, along with the mayor, I attended the Philharmonic Festival over at Portuguese Hall. On the 9th of November, I attended the West Valley Regional Steering Committee. That same day, I attended the Chaffey College Report to the Community, and also attended the Youth Sports President's Dinner that day. And again, as Councilwoman Karen Comstock mentioned, congratulations to Vince Alamillo. On the 10th of November, I attended the Preserve School groundbreaking. On the 11th, I attended the Veterans Day event. And again, Sergeant Jaquez had just an amazing speaker, and he really was. On that same day, I attended the You Choose tournament over at Don Lugo. Had an amazing experience, and it was just I was happy to see just happy faces all around the gym there. And again, we did bring the trophy home, and we'll be enjoying that for a year. On the 12th of November, I attended the, I also attended the, excuse me, on the 14th of November, I'm sorry, on the 15th today, there was a celebration of life for a gentleman named Albert John Weiss. He was a senior citizen here, the senior citizen community right behind us. And I mean, I just remember Albert. I got to know Albert because he would always come eat dinner over at Isaiah's Rock, and I had a chance to meet him there many times. I had a chance to drive him home many times when it was too late, and he was just, it seemed like too tired or too cold to walk back home, and just an amazing guy. I want to say to Lisa, our staff member there sitting, I just love when our residents talk about our staff that way. And I think that's just a testimony to, who we are as a city and, what we continue to be, who we plan to continue to be moving forward. So, so kudos to you. I want to say there's great things happening over on this side of town. The demolition, right, of the two that was just approved today. I'm excited about that. There's a lot of talk about, our city image and, just the blight here in the north part of Chino. And I think this is exactly what we need to, to start combating some of those points of views and, again, just providing a positive city image. Along with that, we also approved today some of our alleyways are going to be redone here in the downtown area, so I'm excited about that as well. I want to say a special happy birthday to Bobby Martinez, who's not here today. I want to say congratulations to Mr. Burton and Mr. Lucille. Congratulations on your guys' win. And last but not least, I have a cupcake here in front of me, and I just want to say this is to the new kid on the block, Walt. Thank you, Mayor.
Walt.
Thank you. Well, everybody has already reported on everything I've did.
Are you on?
I think so.
Okay.
On the 4th, I attended the service for Elise Blanchard. And on the 9th, attended the Chapey College report to the community. Also on the 9th, I attended the Youth Sports President's Dinner. Vince Alamio was awarded the Sports Legend Youth Volunteer Award recipient. On the 10th, I attended groundbreaking for Preserve School number 2, which will be year-round, as Mark said. 11th, attended the Veterans Day event at the community building, which was very well performed and put on, and Wes was the master ceremony, and Mark Lucille spoke in place of the mayor. That night, I went to the You Choose basketball game, and on the 12th, I guess I'm the only one that went to bark around the park. Took my dog down there. We had a great time. 14th, last night, attended a Youth Museum bingo fundraiser, which was a lot of fun and quite a few there. And Wes Simmons, president of the Kiwanis, presented the Youth Museum with a check for $20,000 from the Chino Kiwanis Club, which was pretty nice.
Pretty cool.
And then, today, I attended the event for Walt Pocock, and he's retiring from the council, and there was plenty of accolades, and I just blown away by the people coming up and speaking, and I really appreciate it. I don't know if I deserve it all, but thank you for all of your thoughts and your love and concerns and prayers, and it's been a good run. About 28 years, something like that, of service for the city, and I'm proud of every minute of it. And I thank you all for supporting me. That concludes my comments.
City Manager Reich.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. I'd also like to express staff's appreciation for Walt and your service. On a personal note, you have been my friend and supporter and mentor for the last 19 years, and I will be happy to have you back in that capacity and not my boss after you retire off the council, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for everything you've done for us.
Fred?
No legal report, but I would also like to take the opportunity to thank Council Member Pocock for his long service. Pretty impressive, and I've been honored to work with you. And also congratulations to Mayor Pro Tem and Mr. Burton for your election victories. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Simmons?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I want to thank you guys for your support of the You Choose basketball game that we had last week, and for the community coming out all together. We raised over $2,000 for that great organization. So we appreciate that. I want to thank Tony Farmer. He was our ace in the deck, our former NBA player who came and helped us out. So maybe next year, Councilmember Comstock will just have to have 2 former NBA players. And we'll get a jersey on you as well, and I think we'll be just fine.
I can't wait. I look forward to it.
I also want to give a shout out to Commissioner Neil Jerry, who announced the game and just did a fantastic job. Neil, thank you very much. Made it really fun. And as a reminder, November is No Shave November. As you see, it's maybe a little bit darker than 2 weeks ago. Still working on it, but thank the community for joining us and supporting Loma Linda University with this No Shave November campaign as we raise money for that. And that's all I have tonight, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions of Wes? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief Williams?
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Lucio, Council, City Manager Wright, staff. History is really important to me, and as I was listening to the comments about the demolition of Station 61, so I thought it'd be important just to mention, I moved out here from East LA 35 years ago, and I moved over by Magnolia Junior High, and I walked over as an 18-year-old boy to the front door, and I knocked on the front door, and many of you might know Captain Kim Johnson and our late engineer Ray Santoyo came to the front door and talked to this little buzzed head kid that said he wanted to be a firefighter. The history part of that for me is when Captain Kim Johnson retired, I took his position as a captain, and Engineer Santoyo spent his last service years with me, assigned with me as his captain. So it turns out that Engineer Santoyo's wife, Sally, is a family member of mine that I didn't even know I had till late into working with him. So although I really appreciate history, I do look forward to the rejuvenation and the improvement to the city. I'm sad to see that station go. It was the first fire station that I worked at as a Chino Valley Fire District member. Mary Lowe, I know you've been around a long time, and I know you've supported the Chino Fire Department and now the Chino Fire District. So we thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support of our fire district, and we're here for you, for this community, for anything you need. So with that, I'll move on to some business. If you're not aware, we had a swiftwater rescue incident. So community members, please be mindful when it rains heavy like that. Those rains come down quick and fast, and if you find yourself in those washes, you might not have an opportunity to get out of there quick enough. I believe there was at least 5 or 6 folks that were swept up in that incident. Turns out that we recovered one successfully, one and then 2 deceased so far, and I believe there's still 1 missing. So community members, just be mindful of the weather elements. So we do have some wind picking up tomorrow, so if you're doing any kind of outside barbecuing, be mindful of the wind as well. Next, I did attend the Salute to Service, always a great event, and I always look forward to that. I'm a huge proponent and supporter of the military, so thank you for all those that have served, local and abroad. And then finally on the ambulance interest, I'd like to keep that in the forefront of the council's mind. We are still waiting for the request for proposal to come back from the state to land at the county's desk for them to put that out onto the street for bids. And we are keeping our finger on the pulse. We're just waiting to see what's next. We're poised and ready to make our next move as soon as we get that information. And with that, I can entertain any questions, or thank you.
Do they have any declared time frame for that RFP?
Nothing specific. We believed that it was going to be here several weeks back. What's happened is they've had a change in staff at the state of some key players that needed to do the evaluation of the RFP. So my understanding is as soon as they get those positions replaced, they can get that looked at in a thorough manner and then send it back to the county with their approval.
Oh, okay. Now, you mentioned my involvement for a long time. Well, my first involvement with the fire district was when you were still county. And many of the fire guys at the time, you'll remember a lot of the older guys, met in my kitchen. This has been way back in the 80s, and pled that the City of Chino please reach out and support separating this section away from the county and support an independent fire district. And our council got behind that, Fred Aguirre got behind that, and we were successful in supporting you separating from the county. Because as you'll recall, the equipment would be sent to San Bernardino and not come back for weeks, if not months. You know, you couldn't get the support that you needed, and so, you know, it was a pleasure supporting the separation back then, and you guys haven't disappointed since.
So like I said, I love history, and although I wasn't here, Mayor, I know that you were intimately involved in that, which is why I mentioned it. It's kind of sad for me to see it go,
Yeah.
but the most important is your support, and again, so you'll always have my continued support of our organization back for whatever the city needs.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, you know, Ralph Berger's still around, and he was one of the guys that met in my kitchen.
I see him. I see him at the gym every other day.
Yeah.
He's still going to the gym.
Yeah, still a character. Well, it was him and Kyle Sims and some of the other guys that now are no longer with the station. But anyway, thank you. Okay, Walt has one more meeting after this, and you're going to lead the flag salute in that one too.
Okay.
Okay, so be prepared, Mr. Pocock. You're not done yet. Want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and with that, we will adjourn to our next regular meeting, which will be December 6th at 7 o'clock with closed session starting at 6 if necessary. With that, I don't know where the gavel is. We are adjourned. Boom.
Boom.